Hello, good afternoon. Michael Wynn, Chief Digital Officer of Digital Ops, Division of R.E.C.O.N Associates. Happy Monday to everyone. We are going to talk about today Digital R.E.C.O.N, mastering the 5 stages of social surveillance to know your target audience. Yeah, I think about the word reconnaissance. Historically, the word dates back to the early 1800s, 1810. Specifically, is what's noted most. Literally, to survey and get to know someone or something. And I think it's really interesting. I think this is the one thing that we've seen the most success for our clients when we really dive deep into these 5 stages of really getting to know and understand what's most important to their audience, the individuals, the collective group, and then how does that impact our marketing plan. And I think that's also another gigantic mistake I think that a lot of companies will make when they start thinking about a marketing plan. They think about all the tools and the tactics and the strategies, which is great. You definitely want to have those. But if you have no idea, if you really don't understand who it is you're trying to reach, you can have the best tools, tactics, and strategies on the planet. You're not going to hit the target. You know, it's interesting. I'm watching a series called Homeland on demand right now on Hulu. Fascinating story dating back to sort of the 9/11 era and how the CIA and the FBI were trying to track down and understand terrorists and who they were and how they operated. And then there's this whole sort of character development of one who was captured and spent 8 years behind military, behind enemy lines. And there's there's questioning whether or not this person was converted. Are they a double agent? And so maybe that's influencing today's topic. But, again, I go back to when we really dig down. So let's talk about these 5 stages. Number 1 is do your research. So there's so much information available on the internet today, of course. But I think if you start to, sort of work from the top down and understand, your industry, understand your marketplace from, sort of that 30,000 foot level, from like a national, maybe global scale. You might do a search, let's say that you have a medical practice and you're wanting to target new nurses or new doctors or employees. So starting at the national level, what trends are healthcare providers facing in the next decade? There's going to be a lot of information that's going to have been written and articulated by all different types of sources. So of course, consider the source. But doing that research on a national level and then, sort of documenting that, making notes about that, reflecting on that can really start to educate and open your eyes to, what are the industry thought leaders thinking about, historical patterns that have happened in the past and how that impacts the future. And then if you kind of bring it down into the regional and local level, there may be information available to you there as well. Now, once you've done your research, then, stage 2, what I like to call educate, and that is if there are very specific data that's available or articles that are available by, top 500 brands. So, if you were in an automotive industry, you could look at, what does General Motors say about, their target audience and their behaviors? Or, if you were in, say the IT field, and you wanted to see and look at, what is Apple saying, and what is Microsoft saying, and what is Google saying, specifically about audience groups centered around technology. So educating yourself based on the manufacturer who represents maybe one of the largest brands in your segment would be phase or stage 2. Stage 3 is really to take the research and the education and then do your own comprehensive analysis, right? You need to take the information and then really make an analysis based on what you've read, and you're going to do it through the lens of your own business and your own organization. And so that's that comprehensive and really understanding and recognizing patterns. I almost think about this as if, if you were an actor and you were going to play the role of someone in a movie, many times actors and actresses, they get in character for the role that they're about to play. And there's been so many stories about actors and actresses who've gone so deep into character, it's really made a psychological impact on them, especially if the character they're playing is, outside the norm of their own persona, their own person. But that comprehensive analysis is you putting on the mindset and understanding of your target audience, because you've done the research, you've educated yourself, so now you can get into character and think like that. Now, here's the thing. Once you're in that sort of mode and you're in that frame of mind, then began stage 4, which is observation, right? Observe how they perceive everything, right? Observe how they perceive the world, observe how they perceive your product, your services, the way they might perceive your competition, the way they perceive you, your business. Make those observations, and even get to the point, like, can you mimic their behavior? What are their tendencies? What are their, when you can really get into that observation mode and think and feel how they think and feel is critical. And then stage 5 is narrative. Create a narrative. Once you've got the research and the education and the comprehensive analysis and the observation, you can really craft a narrative, a storyline where your characters, your audience can then find themselves immersed in this story that you're unfolding. And the story that you're unfolding, the outcome is for them to have an experience, right? And I think that that's the problem. So many times as marketers, we make the mistake of we're trying to tell a story to get them to take action, when we would be better served to create a story where they have an experience, right? And taking action is part of that experience, but the experience in and of itself is actually a much larger objective. And I think that's, again, going back to the reason why this sort of really marinated, really resonated over the weekend about this topic. And I wanted to talk about it today about, doing your digital recon is throughout history, whether you're a business or a military, or an individual, those who prepare, who understand what their target is and who they're going after and who they're trying to connect with and who they want to relate with, when they really understand what's most important to that person, to that segment of the industry, and then take that information, understand it, do your research, educate yourself, have that comprehensive analysis, make your observation, and then write the narrative. When you can do that, guys, you will have the digital recon and you will have mastered the 5 stages of social surveillance to really know your audience. And that is the first step in achieving digital marketing success. Thank you, guys.